Today marks the completion of Phase 1 of the $85 million expansion project at Dane County Regional Airport. Thanks so much for joining us at 6. I'm John Stofflet.
And I'm Lee Mills. Its new terminal is the single biggest project in the airport's history.
NBC 15's Cameron Kelly joins us in the studio. Cameron, you were able to tour this new terminal and meet some of the people who made it happen.
That's right, John and Lee. The new wing of the airport boasts a 90,000 square foot space spanning 2 stories of seating, infrastructure, and updated pet-friendly and family amenities. Local officials marked the milestone with a ribbon-cutting ceremony.
1, 2, 3.
The Dane County Regional Airport's new terminal is ready for takeoff. Director of Marketing and Communications Michael Rickers says it's important to fly locally because the more travelers, the greater chance for airport expansions like this one.
That's one of the first things that airlines look at when they look at service development and in the airline and airport world.
Some of the new features 4 years in the making. Changing stations for adults with disabilities on the top floor of the terminal.
Has plenty of room to maneuver both the passenger as well as the wheelchair. There's an adult-sized changing table with a 600-pound capacity. So really anyone who is traveling should be cared for in that room, should feel welcome in that room.
The service animal and pet area relief is a Federal Aviation Administration requirement, but the DCRA decided to take it to the next level.
We added a bunch of amenities and creature comforts to it to make it a safe, clean, hygienic process for both pet and handler. So it's a raised turf area. It's completely sealed epoxy floor below that. There's a hose that, once the dog is done, you just rinse off the whole area with the hose.
Project architect Jeff Manzetti says there's a little something for everyone.
There's lots of students that go through here, so just try to take spaces that we can do to design for every type of passenger, and I think that's been the best part of the project.
The first passengers will depart from the terminal to destinations including Chicago, Charlotte, and Dallas tomorrow morning. Construction continues, though. Phase 2 will begin with soon demolition of the old terminal. Live in the studio, Cameron Kelly, NBC 15 News.